Zucchini bread is the perfect recipe to have on hand from the summer all the way into the fall because it's so good. And if you have a garden and you have lots of zucchini like I do, this is the best way to use it up. Nobody will be sad at all if you pull this out of the oven. But even better than that, it's gluten-free. Take it from me, us gluten-free people, we don't often get such a wonderful homemade treat. So if you make this for a gluten-free person you care about, they will love you forever. I'm Christy from Beneficial Bento, where I show you how to make healthy food easy to prepare and help you manage your food allergies so you can really enjoy what you eat and have fun with your food. And this zucchini bread recipe has a lot in common with my banana bread recipe, which is also gluten-free. And I have a video on that one too. I'll see if I can put a link to it up above me, and I'll also put a link to it down in the description below. This is how you make it. In a bowl, combine the flours, cinnamon, salt, baking soda, and baking powder. Whisk them together so they are really well combined. A note here about the gluten-free flour blend I'm using. I use my own all-in-one flour blend, which I make myself, and you can find that in my Gluten-Free Baking for Beginners ebook. If you don't have one already, it's totally free, and I will put a link to it in the description. You can also use a store-bought blend like one of these. Bob's Red Mill gluten-free 1-to-1 baking flour, King Arthur's Measure for Measure flour, or Namaste's Perfect Flour Blend. And if you have another flour blend you want to try, make sure it's one that contains xanthan gum in the mix. This recipe won't be as good without it. Next, in a mixer, add the buttermilk, eggs, brown sugar, coconut oil, vanilla, and shredded zucchini. Blend until smooth. Add the dry ingredients to the wet ingredients in the mixer. Add one of the mix-ins suggested in the recipe if you want. The full recipe can be found on my website. I will put a link to it in the description. This time we added chocolate chips, but you can add shredded coconut, pecans, or other nuts too. With the mixer on medium speed, mix for at least 1 full minute. This is a really important step that will help hydrate and combine the different gluten-free flours, which results in a very moist and tender finished product. Now let the batter rest for about 10 to 20 minutes so the different gluten-free flours will have the time that they need to absorb all the liquids before baking. Since different gluten-free flours need different times to absorb moisture, it's important that you do this. During this waiting time, preheat the oven to 350 degrees Fahrenheit. Line a loaf pan with parchment paper and spray lightly with cooking spray or oil. Scoop the batter into the loaf pan. Bake for around 50 minutes, possibly as much as an hour. But for the best results, you should use an internal thermometer. The temperature should read 200 degrees in the center. This is the best way to tell if a gluten-free loaf is cooked all the way through. Now, remove from the oven, and you can use the parchment paper as handles to lift the loaf from the pan. Lay it on its side to cool. This will help prevent it from collapsing or flattening out on top as it cools. Refrain from slicing it until it's cool. I know it's gonna be hard, but if you slice it while it's still too hot, it's just gonna crumble. That's true for pretty much all gluten-free baked goods. And here it is. It is so good. It's really moist and it's a little bit sweet. It's not as sweet as cake though, but it's really good. And it's full of healthy zucchini, with a few chocolate chips to balance it out. This is great for breakfast, lunch, a snack, or for dessert. You know, there aren't very many recipes that work like that, but zucchini bread does. Thanks for joining me in my kitchen, and I will see you soon with another gluten-free video. You can also use a store-bought blend. Oh crap, that wasn't a tongue twister before. I forgot to grab some zucchini bread, and this is gonna be at the end. And here it is.
Are you in the fridge?
Am I in the fridge?
Are you in the fridge?
What?
I was just wondering if you could hand me some jalapeno mustard.
Jalapeno mustard? Okay. And we put jalapeno mustard on our zucchini bread.